The sun is shining in the sky, hardly a cloud in sight, and we are going to have a fantastic race here today.
Drivers, start your engine! Cause we want retribution!
But coming to the green here, it's going to clean out real well. Pace car's off, kick some ass.
There's the green flag and we're underway.
Green, 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 green. Outside, still there at your door. Good job, man. Nice and solid. Take care of your stuff.
Three wide.
Here, Hawkins into the wall.
Oh, big trouble!
Crash in the back. Oh, there's a crash in the back.
Trouble!
Great job, doing awesome, buddy.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not sure if you guys end up hearing or noticing that the sound is kind of glitched out. I do want to apologize for that. I'm not 100% sure what just happened there. But one thing is for certain, and one thing that we all know for sure, is that we have 42 cars at the ready to start race number 10 of the WRLA Pepsi Cup Series. It's the Safelite 400 from the North Wilkesboro Speedway. As always, I'm Elijah Leonard here, ready to bring you the action. 200 laps worth of action here at the North Wilkesboro Speedway. So a little bit more racing to deal with, much less than what we had at the Iowa Speedway just last week. Just in case if you all missed it, we had 125 laps worth of really good racing all the way around. We had a few cautions at the beginning and a long green flag run, and then a few cautions at the end, which wound up seeing not only Walker Family Motorsports sweep the front row to start off the race, but a Walker Family Motorsports car going to victory lane, and that being Abby Walker, who wound up getting her first win of her career, second for the Walker Family Motorsports organization as an entirety, and a lot of momentum, I would say, definitely on the side of Abby Walker. She managed to grab the maximum amount of points that you can earn throughout this points format that we're running for the month of May. For those that may not know exactly what that is, it is 5 bonus points for leading the most laps, 10 bonus points for leading the most laps, and then the 20 bonus points for winning the race. All that combined with the traditional 40 points just for finishing in first place, you get a total of 75 points towards the championship just in one race alone, if you manage to get all the bonus points while winning the race on top of all that. So with that said, ladies and gentlemen, this is gonna be pretty fun. We're already halfway. I can't believe we're already halfway through the month of May, and we've got 2 races left before we go on our little break after tonight, and things are definitely starting to heat up as we're winding down, as we're getting ready to wind down on the month of May. Let's go ahead and take a look at your point standings after Iowa, and we had a few more changes. Zachary Fitzwater retakes the points lead after a top 10 finish, but not by much. Terry Walker, after finishing second at Iowa last week, he comes in 2 points back from Zachary Fitzwater. Roberto Crown Jr. and Ryan Little both tied. Kyle Craven gets kicked back to 5th. Scrolling on past through your point standings right over here. Andrew Miller breaking inside of the top 20. Getting a little bit more momentum on his side, so definitely really happy to see that Andrew Miller starting to regain a little bit of that momentum that he was really hoping to start off the year with. Nathan Stapleton climbing up through the point standings. He's up to 24th. Claire Phillips, unfortunately, her woes are starting to are still continuing as she's fallen from top 5 to top 10 all the way down to just top 30 in the point standings. And then we go back to the bottom of the points ladder. There's Noah Clifton, who is 33rd in the points with 100 points in his bank. And then you see Jerry Rose there 88. So 3 drivers, as you can see there, Bonsinger, Vaughn, and Rose, they have yet to break into the triple digits. And after tonight, they are very much so guaranteed to do just that. But hopefully, fingers crossed for a lot of these drivers, you know, they do get some really good points. You know, for example, Noah Clifton, whom I mentioned, was 33rd in points with 100 points in his pocket. He is starting 5th here in this race, so this is definitely going to be this hopefully is going to be an event that he is able to you know, perform consistently in, and maybe grab a top 5, maybe top 10 with a few bonus points in his pocket that could assist him in climbing his way back up through the point standings. So it's definitely going to be very interesting to see if somebody like Clifton's going to be able to do all that. So I'd definitely keep my eye out for Noah Clifton. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and review your starting lineup since we're on that topic. And Rogel Dorn, Russell Blaze, a little bit of deja vu from last week with Walker Family Motorsports sweeping the front row. This time it's Durrani Racing sweeping the front row. All 4 NS Racing cars starting inside of the top 10 with Miller 3rd, Clifton 5th, and then Stapleton and Fitzwater occupying row number 5. There's Janiyah Hill in the number 7. She's going to be starting 15th in this event. There's Sebastian Vaughn in the 54. Second to last in the point standings. Going to need a miracle to happen here tonight if he wants to advance his way up through the point standings and get that catapult that he's been looking for. There's Martin Nixon making his first start in a little while. Joshua Cornish, I would believe this is his first start since Martinsville a few weeks back. Starting 29th here in this race, looking for a good run and try to get his second Pepsi Cup Series win. Former points leader Kyle Craven starting in the 24th spot, and we scroll a little bit further on back. There's Nia Steidel, who is 6th in the point standing, starting 38th. He's going to have her work cut out for her here in tonight's race. And then as we scroll to the back end of the starting lineup, your provisional starters, there's Ryan Gundillo and there's Abby Walker in the 51 and 18 machines. Do apologize there for my mic. Had a little bit of a technical issue there. But ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be one hell of a night here at the North Wilkesboro Speedway. We could see more cautions than what we saw at Iowa. We could see a little bit more of green flag runs take place. There's a lot that could happen here at the North Wilkesboro Speedway. And a lot can happen within 200 laps. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, drivers are strapped into their cars. Pre-race ceremonies are just now starting to wrap up. But in order to get these 42 cars rolling on the racetrack, let's go trackside to get the command to fire the engines.
Drivers, start your engines.
Engines are fired, pace car is rolling off, and so are these 42 competitors. Our first trip to here the North Wilkesboro Speedway for the WRLA. So there's a lot of mystery once the green flag drops as to what this race is going to look like. Is it going to be a wreck fest? Is it going to be green all the way through? We're about to find out. As pace car is in, Rogel Doran and Russell Blaze, a pair of Durrani Racing Fords, lead the field through turn 4. Green flag flies right now, and we're racing in North Wilkesboro. One car already up into the wall. That was Campbell Marsh. Already 3 wide back over here. That may be a little bit treacherous as they come off of turn number 4. Got 3 wide and a few spots all the way in the back with our previous race winner of Abby Walker. She's in the back. Alexander Rowe, and they're crashing. CG Hall, Claire Phillips into the inside wall. and they spin into pit road. Somehow we stay green. No caution. Well, the bad news is CG Hall, Claire Phillips, they're going to go a few laps down. But the good news is they spun on pit road, and we have our first caution of the night officially. That's Ryan Gundillo, who is a lot of damage to his number 51, which I'd say is also a bit of good news for CG Hall and Claire Phillips. But man, oh man, what a start here to tonight's event here. As the first caution flies on lap number 4. But a tough break early in the going for both Claire Phillips, CG Hall, and then you can add Ryan Gundillo onto the list as more than likely, yes, Gundillo is done. Here at North Wilkesboro, he's not going to be able to continue on here in this race. CG Hall, Claire Phillips, they both will, but looks like Halt is going to be stuck in the pits. Actually, no, he just retired from the race, so they might have found a little bit more wrong with the number 17 of CG Halt. So he is out of this race early once again. And I say once again because I don't know why I said that, but but the woes for CG Halt continue this season, and unfortunately these fortunately wrecking out early is not going to contribute to anything really all that good. But Noah Clifton is your current race leader. Let's go back and review what happened that caused that first caution before we take a look and see what happened to CG Halt and as well as the 5 of Claire Phillips. So this all happened actually on lap number 2. So this all happened on lap number 2. And you can see Gundillo gets into the corner a little bit too hard, gets into the left front of Bobby McGuire, who then gets into Val Moscow, and they all go up into the outside wall. Obviously, Gundillo ended up getting the worst end of that deal. Thankfully, Moscow and McGuire were able to drive away from the accident, but as for Ryan Gundillo, it unfortunately caused the car to go up in smoke, and that's what this is what sadly knocked Ryan Gundillo out of the race early here on lap number. It actually happened on lap 3. Well, we're gonna look at this in real time. See, unfortunately, that's the unfortunate byproduct of being on the inside heading into the first corner. Sometimes you can go in from the bottom of the racetrack, just from the inside of the racetrack, just a little too hot into the corner, and that might push the car up not into the air, but right up into another lane, and that's what might have happened to the 51 of Ryan Gundillo. But done for the night early in this one for Ryan Gundillo, as we're still continuing to work our first caution flag of the night here at the North Wilkesboro Speedway. 2 drivers, if you're just now tuning in, are out of the race. That is Ryan Gundillo in the 51, CG Halt in the number 17, which, speaking of, almost forgot. We were actually going to take a look at what happened to CG Halt and as well as Claire Phillips. Let's go ahead and take a look at this from the aerial view, because this actually was very interesting. So this all happened, obviously, with all these drivers kind of being close together and everybody sliding around. They were 4 wide just for a split second. Phillips gets hit in the left rear by Emily Anderson, and then she's just essentially sandwiched between Halt and the 5 of Claire Phillips. Both drivers go into the inside wall. The bad news is they both ended up wrecking early. The good news is for them, luckily, they spun onto pit road. So they were able to get up to pit road speed and get to their pit stalls. So that way they can work on their cars. But as for CG Halt, unfortunately, he ended up having to take his car behind the wall. He is done for the night. Claire Phillips is still out on the racetrack. Just going to be a decent number of laps down, if I would be correct here. Currently working lap number 6. Phillips is currently 1 lap down here. And currently the only car 1 lap down, as we might take 1 to go this time around. And actually, no, we're going to stay under yellow here for just maybe another lap longer before we get ready to go back under the green. Just give me a little bit here, folks. I got a little phlegm buildup going on here. So give me 1 second. Alrighty. So as the field comes off of turn at number 4, your race leader is Noah Clifton. As we just got 1 to go here, your top 10 is going to look like this. Clifton the leader, Terry Walker second, Nathan Stapleton third, Andrew Miller fourth, Braden Perez completing the top 5, followed by Rogel Dorn 6th, Quentin Moore 7th, Russell Blaze 8th, Janiyah Hill running in the 9th position, and Caleb Rose rounding out your top 10. Phillips more than likely still in the pits, either that or making her way over to the front of the field on the inside line. There she is. So let's see how up to par she is going to be with the rest of the leaders. Once we get this race back going, green flag goes back in the air. Good jump there for Noah Clifton. However, this is where the trouble is going to really start to begin here. Stapleton going to get to the inside of Claire Phillips to move up into second. And how about this? NS Racing currently, as of right now, they're 1, 2, 3. Zachary Fitzwater marred in traffic just a little bit further back. Rogel Dorn moving his way up to 4th. How about this? The Durrani Racing cars are also moving up here as well, with Dorn, Moore, and Blaze all lined up on the bottom. So the top 6 cars that were just on the inside line, all of them Mustangs, all of them for 2 different teams. I could more than likely say NS Racing and Durrani Racing both really did their homework here. As we have more cars on pit road, I saw Bobby McGuire in the pits. Val Moscow, Emily Anderson in the pits as well. A little bit of damage to McGuire's car. And Anderson and Val Moscow, they might have received more damage to their race machines, but whatever happened to them, it wasn't enough to cause a caution, so we currently stay green. Down on the inside, here comes Skylar Taylor back out on the racetrack. Ooh, right in front of the leaders. That messed up Rogel Dorn pretty bad. Fighting with Stapleton here for the 3rd spot, and he's got it as of right now. Now trying to go for 2nd on Andrew Miller as they head back into turn at number 1. Emily Anderson merges right up in front of Noah Clifton, our race leader. Back down into turn 1. Gonna get by Emily Anderson to put her a lap down. McGuire just up ahead. McGuire, as of right now, is 39th, 2 laps down. Emily Anderson just also went yet another lap down. Wyatt Walker apparently is 34th, a lap down as well. He just came into the pits. So very interesting things are wounding up happening here in the early stages of the Safelite 400 here at the North Wilkesboro Speedway. Noah Clifton continuing to check out, just 2/3 of a second ahead of this second place fight going on here between two NS Racing cars, one Durrani Racing car. That is Rogel Dorn in the 86, trapped on the second line, that second groove. As Stapleton moves up to second, Miller up to third. Rogel Dorn's going to get kicked back to fourth, and here comes Martin Nixon, who started 21st in this race. He already has moved up inside of the top 5. How about this for Martin Nixon? There's Quentin Moore, who won at the Auto Club Speedway back in March. He's gonna lose a couple positions as he's now trapped on the outside line. Miller and Nathan Stapleton going at it for the second spot. Give that position to Miller. Terry Walker and Zachary Fitzwater, 1 and 2 in the point standings side by side. As everybody is stacking up because the lap traffic. Oh, a little bit of contact there between Rogel Dorn and the 95 of Bruno De Giacomo. De Giacomo just came back out onto the racetrack. Oh, Fitzy just hit the wall hard. And that's going to allow Jerry Rose and Braden Perez to take full advantage of that, move Jerry Rose up inside of the top 5. Well, at least one spot closer to that as Nathan Stapleton is in trouble. Oh, Jerry Rose very close right there to getting into the left rear quarter panel of Stapleton. Well, actually he did, but almost turned him there, coming off of turn number 2. But so far, some really great action that we're seeing here at the North Wilkesboro Speedway. Here comes Reagan Whitlock in the 9. Already right up here in this, in the thick of the top 10 as of right now. Back through 1 and 2, already Whitlock moving up into the 8th position. Russell Blaze up in the 9th. Here comes Janiah Hill in the 7. Moving up inside of the top 10. And we're already an 1/8 of the way through this race. Or at least we're prepping up for that. For the way through here, the Safelite 400 here at the North Wilkesboro Speedway. I almost said Kansas, but we are here in North Wilkesboro. Noah Clifton continuing to dominate the opening stages of the event. Just in case if you guys are tuning in, we already had a crash on lap number 3 that brought out our first and currently only caution of the night. But since then, we have been clean and green ever since. Noah Clifton ended up taking the lead early in the going, probably I'd say right around lap 2 or lap 3. And he's held on to it ever since. He's built up a 1.1 second advantage over teammate Andrew Miller, who is in second. Rogel Dorn sitting in the 3rd spot. And then Braden Perez has moved up into 4th. Here comes Cologne Motorsports teammate Reagan Whitlock up inside of the top 5, now being pressured by Russell Blaze, moving his way down to the inside, heading back into turn number 1. Nathan Stapleton making his way to the inside of Martin Nixon here. That's the fight that is up to... That'll move him up into 7th. Jerry Rose in that 00 now moving his way back up inside of the top 10. Jerry Rose comes into this race dead last in the point standings. 36th with, I believe, 88 points. All 3 drivers that are down towards the bottom of the points ladder, Bonsignor, Vaughn, and also the 00 of Jerry Rose, all 3 of them are guaranteed to break into the 100 points bracket after tonight. However, they'll definitely need a little... if they want to get themselves out of this rut that all 3 of them are in, they're obviously going to have to start picking up the pace here, especially in this month of May. This is the best time to do it because then you get you can basically round up or rack up as many bonus points as you possibly can before the month is out, and you may find yourself in a better position in the point standings after the month of May is done and over with. So if I were drivers like Jerry Rose or even Sebastian Vaughn, for instance, I would definitely full-on capitalize on what's at stake here. Speaking of Sebastian Vaughn, currently just outside of the top 10, or currently inside of the top 20 as he moves past Martin Nixon for the 15th position. Nixon already starting to fall back like a rock there on that outside line, holding up Stephen Colon in the 25. I would definitely say this is the best time to do it. A little bit of contact there between Vaughn and Cornish as they come off of turn number 4. 35, now 36 laps complete, I want to say. Actually, no, 35 laps complete. They'll be completing lap 36 this time by. And Noah Clifton continuing to dominate here at North Wilkesboro. 1.19 seconds. It was 1.2 for the last lap. Miller is cutting into the lead just a little bit, but there are two other lap cars in front of Miller. That being Emily Anderson and Skylar Taylor. So these two basically are separating Clifton and Miller apart from one another, but Noah Clifton, obviously, he's in some clean air right now, and other than having Bobby McGuire in front of him, who just got, he might have gotten one of his laps back, either that or he's just trying to go from going 3 laps down. But I would definitely say, as for, you know, Bobby McGuire, this is, he'd have to hope and pray that 2 more cautions come out, or at least as many yellow flags as he can to come out. So that way, if he is able to, well, if he is able to have a shot at getting back on the lead lap, he'd preferably would have to have 2 more caution flags in order for him to at least get one of his laps back. What I mean by that is that for NR 2003 rules for restarts is that the lap cars do line up on the inside line, and they have to pass the leader in order to get one of their laps back or to get back on the lead lap. So in order for Bobby McGuire to get back on the lead lap, he'd have to hope and pray for 2 more cautions to come out, so that way he can line up on the inside and try to pass Noah Clifton. We'll have 1 caution come out, so that way he can get past Noah Clifton on a restart to get one of his laps back. Then have another caution come out, so that way he can rinse and repeat just to get back on the lead lap. Once he does that, he'll have to rejoin the tail end of the lead lap field, and then he'll be back in contention. Trouble for Janiah Hill. Hill on pit road here in this number 7 machine. Possibly might be some tire issues. More than likely. Getting 4 tires and gonna probably try to top off on fuel, or maybe figure out what else might be going wrong with that number 7 machine, and Hill down and away. And this stop, whether scheduled or not, is definitely going to hurt Janiah Hill, as she more than likely, yes, just dropped 2 laps. But Noah Clifton continuing to show the way here as he opens up a 1 1/3 second advantage. On Andrew Miller, as we're closing in on 1/4 of the way through. Rate in the Safelite 400 here at the North Wilkesboro Speedway, race number 10. Here in the WRLA Pepsi Cup Series circuit. But as of right now, I do apologize if I'm not really saying too much here. Currently, there's some other things that are kind of coming up as well, so I do want to apologize for that, ladies and gentlemen. And also, I do want to bring up, if there's anybody that does have any sort of questions or anything, I normally under green flag conditions, I try my best not to break the fourth wall between myself and, you know, there is a fourth wall, you know, when it comes to doing these races live. So if there is a break in the action, then maybe I might be able to, but definitely the best bet would have to be under caution. But looks like there might be a little break in the action, at least momentarily. Everybody's gotten themselves into a little bit of a single file run, but as of right now, usually whenever there's people that are trying to get my attention or whenever there's people that are asking questions. Oh, speaking of, trouble on the back straightaway. Somebody just spun. I think it might have been Nia Steidel here in this number 6. But it kind of worked out, though. But caution is out. Caution is out. That's Andrew Ramsey in the 67 who just crashed on the entrance of pit road. Heavily damaged is this YouTube Toyota Camry. And that, I think this might have been around the time where green flag pit stops were scheduled, because everybody is coming on down. Nia Steidel's already made her pit stop, so she might be in a pretty good spot. Hopefully not. Well, I mean, either that or, well, she is a lap down, so she is going to get one of her laps back. However, going to be on the tail end of the lead lap. Andrew Ramsey is going to be done for the night here at the North Wilkesboro Speedway. As everybody else making their stops, 4 tires, adding some fuel, and it looks like race off pit road is going to be won by Noah Clifton. Andrew Miller going to come out second. Braden Perez third. Reagan Whitlock fourth. And then coming out fifth, that was Russell Blaze. Nathan Stapleton comes out sixth, followed by Jerry Rose coming out seventh. Eric Monaco coming out in eighth. Stephen Colon comes out ninth, and Rogel Dorn had a little bit of trouble on pit road, but he comes out 10th. As the rest of the drivers that are a lap down or more, they make their way onto pit road. But our second yellow flag of the night is out here at the North Wilkesboro Speedway. Let's go back and review what happened to Andrew Ramsey that brought out our second caution of the night here at the North Wilkesboro Speedway. And it might have had something to do here. Yes, indeed, it did. Just as I suspected. I looked at Caleb Rose and thought, he might have had something to do with it, and it looks like he did. Coming off of turn number 2, looks like Caleb Rose gets into the left rear corner panel of Andrew Ramsey and just does not get off of him until right about here. Rose eventually does have to make his way back out onto the racetrack, so that way he can avoid hitting the end of that pit wall, which he just barely did. But Ramsey not so fortunate there, as he ended up colliding with the inside wall and then right into the end of that pit wall where the barrels are. But that is just tough break there for Andrew Ramsey. I'm pretty sure Caleb Rose did not mean to do that. This is more or less just kind of a racing deal, as we're going to look at this in real time. The only thing, oh my gosh, that's just an incredibly hard hit, if I may say, onto the passenger side door. But it also kind of looked like that, yeah, Caleb Rose definitely got on the beat Andrew Ramsey to the gas just a little bit quicker there on the exit of turn number 2. Ramsey might have been fighting a little bit of a loose condition on his Toyota Camry, so that could have been a possibility, but that was a very hard hit there for Ramsey, both on the inside wall and at the end of the pit wall, heading into turn number 3. Now let's see what happened the lap prior, that that might have just happened to Nia Steidl. I'm pretty sure something similar happened, and that is indeed the case. Look at that. So 3 wide here. And, oh, Crampton actually slammed the wall. Same did Abby Walker, but that's what Nia reacted to. She checked up, and then she ended up getting hit in the back end. I think that was by Alexander Rowe. But my, oh my. That's a tough break for Nia Steidl. The bad news was she ended up getting spun out. The good news is she ended up making it to pit road. If that's what she was wanting to go, I mean, hey, she made it. But at what cost? I'm going to look at this in real time. Looks like Crampton. Yeah. Oh, Abby Walker got forced the 61 up into the outside wall, and that's what wound up happening to Nia Steidl. Nia Steidl ended up checking up, and she ended up getting turned by the 54 here. Both the 54 and, yeah, mainly Alexander Rowe, but she also ended up colliding with the 54 of Sebastian Vaughn. But that right there was what brought out our second yellow flag of the night. Not the wreck that Nia Steidl had to deal with, but more importantly, the wreck that Andrew Ramsey had to deal with here. But no, heckin' random, what's going on? How you doing? Hope you have yourself a good Saturday night. Hope your weekend's been going really well. And again, I do want to apologize for not getting to the message right away. Again, I'm not purposely trying to ignore anybody. I do see your messages, and I try to get to them whenever I can, whenever there's a break in the action, or whether it be a long green flag run, or if there's a caution period. Whenever there is action going on, I have to be focused, and I have to actually try my best to give you the best commentary that I possibly can. So that way, you can get not only get a good visual of what's happening, but also so that way you can be on the edge of your seat. And obviously, I try my best to provide that for you guys. And in order to do that, I got to be focused. So I try my best to try to respond back whenever I can, whenever there's a break in the action. But again, I'm not trying to purposefully ignore anybody. It's just I gotta be focused. Well, what would your question be, though, Heckin? If you are still here, that is. The field has just taken 1 to go. And your restarting order is going to look like this. Roberto Crown Jr. apparently is also retired from the race. He's done for the night. But your top 10 is going to look like this. Clifton, Miller, Perez, Blaze, Stapleton. That's your top 5. And then it's Rose, Monaco, Cologne, Rogel-Dorn, and Zachary Fitzwater, that being your top 10. Here we go. Green flag back in the air. And we got a decent amount of drivers that are at least a lap down or more. 27 cars left on the lead lap. They're 3 wide over here. Nia Steidl getting turned by Martin Nixon into the inside wall. For the second time tonight, Nia Steidl gets turned, and it's by Martin Nixon in the 2. The good news is for everybody else, we stay green. She was off the racing line, but the bad news for Nia Steidl is her night just went from bad to worse, and she's going to take a big hit in the points. But look at this action happening back over here. They are 3 wide with Crampton on the bottom, Kyle Craven in the middle, Stephen Cologne up top. And oh man, they are 4 wide over here towards the back end of the field. Rogel-Dorn, being wise, completely backs off from that scenario. Oh my goodness gracious. Everybody just really tight over here. Aaron Abel getting bounced around. Back over here, saves it. We stay green. Oh, but Campbell Marsh ends up pounding the outside wall coming off of turn number 4. 3 wide once again up here. And for a little bit of 4 wide for just a split second, but they managed to sort themselves back out. But everybody all over the place. A little bit of contact between Wayne Lopez and Zachary Fitzwater a little bit further in the back. But things getting really intense towards the back half of the field, and we get a little bit closer up to the front. Noah Clifton continuing to, well, at least trying to check out once again. With Andrew Miller there in the 2nd spot, Perez in 3rd, Russell Blaze in 4th, and Martin Nixon, who is the first car 1 lap down, trying to do everything he can to hold his position. And so far, he's got a pretty good cushion between himself and Claire Phillips, but he's going to have to hope and pray that he doesn't get spun out here by Berto DiGiacomo. Jerry Rose completes the top 5 as of right now. Caleb Rose in a little scuffle here with Ryan Little, that being for the 6th position, and Rose is going to end up winning that fight as they head off of turn number 2. A little bit of 3 wide action over here. It's Valkyrie Atikian in the 23, way down on the inside. Nathan Stapleton trapped up, almost up against the wall as they head off of turn number 4 in a 3 wide situation over here. Field comes off of turn number 2 and head down the back straightaway once again. There's Wyatt Walker in the 19 machine. Currently 33rd, 2 laps down. In the midst of a 4 wide scenario here in North Wilkesboro. You don't see this often, and it's not going to be too good. Rowe in the wall, and Valkyrie Atikian goes around, and so does Nathan Stapleton. Rogel Dorn Nia Steidel collected, and this time, this hit right here is going to take her out. Oh my goodness. That was not pretty. What a shame. What a shame for Nathan Stapleton to be involved in that one, because he was having himself a really great night tonight. Was riding around in the top 5, top 10 all night up until this point. And unfortunately, he is going to be done for the night here at North Wilkesboro. Rogel Dorn, who started on pole for this race, heavily destroyed. And the number 86, he is going to be done for the night. And here come the rest of the lap cars being led into pit road by Skylar Taylor. But as for everybody else, looks like Jerry Rose wins the race off of pit road. Noah Clifton comes out in 2nd. How about this? Zachary Taylor 3rd. Alex Bonsignor coming out in the 4th position. Tanner Parton rounds out the top 5. Then it's Braden Perez coming out in 6th. Ryan Little 7th. Terry Walker 8th. Eric Monaco coming out 9th. And Joshua Cornish completing the top 10. Of all the drivers that came out of pit road, a very different look inside of the top 10 here with 71 laps complete under caution for the 3rd time here tonight. Let's review what happened to, looks like it was Valkyrie Atikian that brought out our 3rd yellow flag of the night here at the North Wilkesboro Speedway. It was a multitude of things that wound up happening here. It was about 4 wide. It was lots of cars getting into one another. It was pretty much almost anything that you could have possibly even imagined. The 4 wide scenario. Something completely unheard of at a place like North Wilkesboro. But look at this. Up in front of Stephen Colon, Parton, and Stapleton. 4 wide. That's Valkyrie Atikian, Alexander Rowe, Wyatt Walker, Alex Bonsignor, all in that scenario. Looks like Atikian and Rowe get together here. Stapleton ends up getting turned by Kyle Craven. Stapleton was kind of sandwiched between Craven and Atiki in that shot right there. Travis Crampton getting a little piece. Rogel Dord with nowhere to go. Claire Phillips didn't have anywhere to go. And look at the 86 just getting sent upside down. Nia Steidel, man, nowhere to go as well. And adding insult to injury there, Nathan Stapleton, who was just trying to get into the pits. Oh, man. That's such a shame. He wound up colliding with the end of the pit wall there. Similar spot to where Andrew Ramsey ended up hitting, which brought out our second caution. But my, oh my, Nathan Stapleton, a night that was going really good. It went from good to bad, and then it went to worse right there when he ended up hitting that end of the pit wall. But unfortunately, it is game over for a good amount of these drivers that were involved in this crash on lap 70. There's just so much that wound up happening over here. Track essentially was blocked getting into turn number 3, and Nia Steidel just tried to shoot the gap, and unfortunately it just wasn't going to work, especially with Claire Phillips blocking the way. And that car is junk. So Phillips's season woes continue. As for Nathan Stapleton here, we're going to take a look at that once again. From his perspective, just gets sandwiched between Atikian and Kyle Craven right there. Pancakes the inside wall for the passenger side, and he was going to be fine until he hit the end of the pit wall. And we talk about no-nos here at a place like North Wilkesboro. 4 wide for sure is a no-no. And hitting the end of the pit wall, especially just after trying to regroup and get back out on the racetrack, that too is also a no-no. But second caution, our third yellow flag of the night, is out here on lap number 70, which it came out on lap number 70, but we're currently working lap 72 here at the North Wilkesboro Speedway. Claire Phillips is going to join Nia Steidel in the garage area. Nathan Stapleton, Rogel Dorn are also going to join everybody else in the garage area as well. So with 72 laps complete, just to review your top 10, it goes like this. Jerry Rose, currently the race leader. Noah Clifton in second. Zachary Taylor in third, followed by Alex Bonsignor in fourth. Tanner Parton completing the top 5. Then it's Braden Perez in sixth. Running in seventh, that would be Ryan Little. Terry Walker in 8th. Then 9th is the 31 of Eric Monaco, Joshua Cornish, completing the top 10. As the field comes off of turn number 4, we're going to be nearing the 3/8 mark of this event. And the field is getting ready to restart here with 1 to go. Going to be restarting on lap number 74. Here comes the rest of the field lining up on the inside line. They're going to be led by Janiah Hill in the number 7 machine. Also joining her, it will be Val Moscow, Bobby McGuire, Skylar Taylor, Bruno DiGiacomo, and others. We currently have 24 cars left on the lead lap, and 35 of them still left on the racetrack. 35 cars left on the track, 24 of them left on the lead lap. Jerry Rose going to lead the field to the restart here in North Wilkesboro. Really good jump on that restart there for Jerry Rose. As the rest of the field, it's time to deal with the lap traffic on the inside line. Noah Clifton gonna have Val Moscow down to his inside. Bobby McGuire gonna try to make it 3 wide. Are we going 4 wide again in North Wilkesboro? Yes, we are. They're beating and banging off of one another. Janiah Hill, once again, in another 4 wide situation. And this is not gonna work. Parton goes around in front of the field. Hill gets caught up in that one. Aaron Abel gets caught up. Same does the 61 of Travis Crampton. Fourth yellow flag of the night. It's Jerry Rose that leads them back to the yellow flag on lap 77. And once again, the leaders come on down to pit road, and we're going to have a handful of drivers that are going to stay out. Cornish is going to stay out. Same will Russell Blaze, as well as Terry Walker, Zachary Fitzwater. Looks like it's just going to be these 4 cars. Make that 5, 6. These 5 cars that are on the lead lap just stayed out here. Jerry Rose going to win the race off of pit road, and Brandon Perez going to come out second. Taylor's going to come out third. Then it's Clifton, Rose, Little, Reagan Whitlock, Abby Walker, Monaco, and I think Andrew Miller was the 10th driver that came out of the pits. But your race leader is going to be Joshua Cornish in this number 89. As we're working now lap 79 here at the North Wilkesboro Speedway. We're closing in on the halfway mark of the Safelite 400 here at the North Wilkesboro Speedway. Let's go back and review what happened that caused that 4th caution flag of the night here at the North Wilkesboro Speedway. All hell essentially just broke loose there on that restart, because let's go back in and just digest this for a second, because look at this on the front straightaway. You just don't see 4 wide like this here at North Wilkesboro. That's Zachary Taylor, Janiah Hill, Skylar Taylor, and Emily Anderson, all 4 wide here at North Wilkesboro. And then it happens again with Zachary Taylor, Janiah Hill, Tanner Parton, and Wyatt Walker right here. And I believe, yes, Hill gets sandwiched between Taylor and Parton, and that's what sends the 07 around on the back straightaway. Hill ends up getting caught. It just ends up getting bopped by the 07 at the very last second. Fitzwater gets caught up in this one. That's our points leader, mind you. Aaron Abel gets involved, and so does the 61 of Travis Crampton, just getting into the left rear quarter panel. The 43 of Aaron Abel. But that just was not, thankfully, it didn't involve more cars. That's the good news, but the bad news is, a lot of these drivers are probably going to start pushing 4 wide once again once we hit the restart. And then just, this is just absolute mayhem on the back straightaway here at North Wilkesboro. Just absolute straight up mayhem. That's what brought out our 4th yellow flag of the night here at the North Wilkesboro Speedway. And from the looks of things, Tanner Parton is going to be done for the night. And he will join a decent list of other drivers that are also going to be done for the night. Aaron Abel is another one that is going to be joining Tanner Parton in the garage area. So now that will mean we'll have 33 cars left on the racetrack and 22 of them left on the lead lap. You know, if this does end up continuing all the way throughout the rest of this race, I honestly don't know if we're going to have any other cars left, because everybody's racing like it's the last lap, or if we're in an overtime finish, let's say at Bowman Gray, but this is not Bowman Gray. This is North Wilkesboro, and this is not a 100 lap race. This is not an overtime finish. We're on working lap 80 of 200. And we're almost at the halfway mark. The field comes off of turn number 4. We're going to get 1 to go yet again this time by. So we're going to try this again. So I do stand corrected, by the way. We currently have 31 cars left on the racetrack. And 22 of them are left on the lead lap. So we are essentially going to have ourselves a double file restart almost throughout all the field, with Joshua Cornish leading the charge on the outside line. Val Moscow leading the lap cars on the inside. Let's see what this restart's going to look like. Green flag. This time, Cornish brings them down. Good jump there for Joshua Cornish. He's going to break away momentarily, but Moscow right there on the inside line trying to get one of his laps back. He's currently 3 laps down in the 33 machine. Caution flies once again, and this time for a similar size crash involving the 25 of Stephen Colon. Alexander Rowe got caught up, as well as a few others, and now Cornish is going to make his way down into the pit area. Along with Zachary Fitzwater, even Terry Walker is going to make the move into the pits. Jerry Rose, Kyle Craven, Noah Clifton, and others. Caleb Rose, a lot of damage to the front end of his car. Oh man, we more than likely had a stack up. Abby Walker's done. Andrew Miller with a lot of front end damage. I saw Travis Crampton, Quentin Moore. So we had a stack up on the back straightaway. Cologne trying to get into his pit box, just wrestling around Cornish. Yep, Quentin Moore is done. Oh, Andrew Miller gets into Noah Clifton on his way to the garage area. And after all of that, this hands Russell Blaze the race lead. To be quite honest, I don't think we're going to have any other cars that are going to be left to compete, because a lot of them are just constantly wrecking themselves out, all just trying to either get back on the lead lap or try to go for, or at least try to, go for as many positions as they can. But let's review what happened that brought out our 5th yellow flag of the night here at the North Wilkesboro Speedway. And it was for an accident that happened in, yet again, turn number 3. And this, oh my goodness, once again, ladies and gentlemen, it was for a lot of action. You see the Cologne Motorsports cars, Reagan Whitlock trying to go for all she can get here. And 4 wide right here. Abby Walker getting into the 25 of Stephen Cologne, sending him around and into the inside wall. Andrew Miller, Alexander Rowe making a little bit of contact as well. This essentially blocks the whole track up here. Eric Monaco going around. And then just a little bit further up. But yeah, this is essentially it. Campbell Marsh getting a piece of the rear end of Monaco's car. But this is what wound up happening on the back straightaway. At least 2 separate incidents that caused 1 caution. Look at this again in real time. Looked like Miller ended up getting into Rowe's right rear, which put him into the outside wall. But now, I'm curious, what wound up happening over here that caused the stack up? Oh, it was Noah Clifton that wound up absolutely jamming on the brakes. My goodness gracious. Even Alex Bonsignor got caught up in that one as well. Caleb Rose, Abby Walker. I see Valkyrie Atikian with a little bit more damage on her 23. But my, oh my, that stack-up effect is going to take out a decent amount of other cars. Here on this one, and that right there is just very heavily unfortunate. We're gonna have more retirees here in this one. Abby Walker is gonna take her car behind the wall, as will the 04th Quentin Moore and Andrew Miller as well. That's a shame because Durrani Racing and NS Racing all brought some really fast equipment, and unfortunately they're not going to be able to take that equipment all the way to the finish of this one and get some good points out of it. One to go. Nope, not yet. Not quite yet. So now we're going to be left with at least 28 cars left on track, with 19 cars left on the lead lap. Another thing to also kind of point out here is that Russell Blaze does have a tiny buckle on the hood. It's not too noticeable though, unless if you look closely, but I don't think that's going to cause any sort of aerodynamic disadvantage for Russell Blaze. Then again, aerodynamics don't mean a thing. I just want everybody to know all I did was move my leg. But field just took one to go. Your top 10 is going to look as follows. It is Russell Blaze, the race leader. Braden Perez in second. Zachary Taylor third. Ryan Little fourth. Valkyrie Atiki in the top 5. Then it's Sebastian Vaughn 6th. Terry Walker 7th. Zachary Fitzwater 8th. Noah Clifton hanging on to 9th. And Kyle Craven completing the top 10 as the field works their way through turn number 4. And Russell Blaze, the only Durrani Racing car left in the field, brings them to green. He does get a really good jump on this restart, but they're 4 wide over here. Wyatt Walker and Bobby McGuire making some contact there, who then both McGuire Motorsports cars get sent into the wall. Janiah Hill getting the worst end of that one, and just like that, we're back under caution. Alexander Rowe also with trouble, as well as he also ends up hitting the pit wall. And just like that, we're back under caution. Russell Blaze and Braden Perez bring their cars on down to pit road, along with the rest of the other cars that are left that are on the lead lap. Looks like Joshua Cornish, Stephen Colon, these 2 cars are going to wind up staying out. Colon, however, though, is 2 laps down. But the race lead is going to go back over to Joshua Cornish. And how about this for Caleb Rose inside of the top 5? And look at this car. It is absolutely destroyed. Essentially a modified, and he's in second place. What in the world? You know, you gotta give Caleb Rose all the credit in the world, because this car is absolutely junk. Would not even last at a place like Daytona or Talladega. But this car is still alive. He's still going at it, even without a nose. How about that? Big props here to Caleb Rose here in this race. Let's go back and look at what happened that brought out our 6th yellow flag of the night. And it involved both of the Maguire Motorsports cars. And interestingly enough, it was with 2 drivers that wound up doing some business off the racetrack, that being Wyatt Walker and Bobby Maguire. This is heading down into turn 1. Looks like Maguire moves Janiah Hill up the racetrack just a little bit. And they both move up the track. And as that happens, that opens up the door for Wyatt Walker to drive to the inside, 4 wide. On the back straightaway here in North Wilkesboro, Maguire and Walker make some contact. They have to get back up into the racing line so that way Walker can avoid the end of that pit wall. And right here is where Maguire gets forced up the track by Wyatt Walker, and both cars wound up into the outside wall in turn 3. Unfortunately, Janiah Hill ended up getting the worst end of that one, and her car is going to be a little bit more damaged to, obviously going to be a little bit more damaged than what it was previously, but it's kind of a shame there, running in the 27th position, at least multiple laps down. Same for Bobby Maguire. And the thing is, Fitzy is pretty lucky that he wasn't caught up in this, because remember, Walker, Maguire, and Hill, all 3 of these cars are multiple laps down, and they're all racing like it's the last lap, which is absolutely mind-boggling to me, but also at the same time, it's short track racing here at the North Wilkesboro Speedway. But it caused a caution, and unfortunately, Janiah Hill wound up getting the worst end of that stick. And there's Travis Crampton. I think we had another stack-up effect that wound up happening. And Crampton does have a lot more damage to the front end of his car, so he'll more than likely be done and out of the race. But let's look at what happened to Alexander Rowe. I swear if he gets turned by his teammate. And he does. He gets turned by his teammate. And as Rowe was trying to get back out on the racetrack, he becomes the 3rd driver to collide with the end of the pit wall. First it was Andrew Ramsey, then it was Nathan Stapleton, and now add Alexander Rowe to that list. That is just absolutely unfortunate. Unfortunate to see a multitude of cars wound up colliding with the end of that pit wall. We're working our 6th caution flag of the night here at the North Wilkesboro Speedway. Crampton and as well as the 34 of Alexander Rowe, they're going to bring their cars back behind the wall. And that is going to leave 26 cars left on the racetrack and 17 of them left on the lead lap. I swear, if this is going to be similar to what we had in the McDonald's Cup Series race at Bristol last year, I don't know what to say, because we had some really good racing earlier on in the event, but all it took was one caution, and that just set the rest of the field off in an absolute wreckfest all the way up to this point. But also just a tough break for Alexander Rowe. Just ended up getting turned by his teammate of Campbell Marsh. And then ends up colliding with the end of the pit wall. And man, that's just a shame. That honestly is just a shame. Field is just taking 1 to go. Top 10 is going to look like this when we restart. It is Joshua Cornish, who is the race leader, followed by Caleb Rose in 2nd. Russell Blaze in 3rd, then it's Braden Perez 4th. Sebastian Vaughn completing the top 5, followed by Ryan Little 6th. Then it's Valky Rayatik in 7th. Terry Walker 8th, Zachary Taylor 9th, and Jerry Rose rounds out the top 10. with now 17 cars left on the lead lap, 26 of them left on track. Let's see how the rest of this race pans out. Green flag getting ready to go back into the air, and Cornish brings them on down. Great start for both Cornish and Caleb Rose as they head back into turn 1. Nixon also hanging tough there. Oh, a little bit more trouble happening over here. It's a huge stack up and caution out yet again. This time it might have just happened on the front straightaway. Front stretch here at the North Wilkesboro Speedway. First time that we've had a wreck happen on the front stretch, and just like that, we're back under caution. Here on lap number 95, closing in on the halfway mark. You know, you gotta wonder just exactly what wound up happening on the front straightaway. But whatever it was, I mean, whoever it was, I'm hoping it wasn't our points leader Zachary Fitzwater that wound up going around on the front stretch, because that definitely would have been catastrophic, to say the least, especially since he is the points leader. But working what more than likely is our 7th caution of the night here at the North Wilkesboro Speedway. Let's go back and take a look at what happened that caused our 7th yellow flag of the race. And the unfortunate thing is, we didn't even get a full green flag lap in. Oh, and it did involve our points leader, but it also involved Campbell Marsh. On the restart, let's take a look at that. I'm not 100% sure what wound up happening here. This 100% could have been avoided, because Zachary Fitzwater had a run on the outside, and I guess Campbell Marsh tried to cover the spot, and he just was a little too late. And that's just, yeah, I'm not sure what else you could really say to that. That's something that could have been avoided on the part of Campbell Marsh. But that's what brought out our 7th yellow flag of the night here at the North Wilkesboro Speedway. And just in case if you guys are tuning in, we are currently working our 7th caution of the night. We are nearing the halfway mark of this race. Back on lap number 2, CG Holt and also Claire Phillips, both of those drivers wound up crashing on the back straightaway heading into turn number 3. They wound up spitting onto pit road, so thankfully they were able to get damage assessed on their race cars. But on lap 3, that's when our first caution wound up coming out. And from then on, I mean, obviously it just turned into absolute mayhem. I would believe CG Hall might have gotten involved in a stack up that might have taken his car to the garage area and done for the night. I think it might have just been the damage that he sustained on lap number 2 that took him out of the race. And as for Claire Phillips, ended up continuing on just a little bit further, but unfortunately, you see it right there. She wound up finishing 37th after getting involved in a crash on turn number 3 that also collected Nia Steidel, Rogel Dorn, and others. That wreck also saw Rogel Dorn get up on his lid, and he's also back behind the wall as well. So as the field works their way through 3 and 4, just wondering when we're gonna get another green flag run like we did earlier in the race. It feels like essentially at this point we might as well just turn this into a WRLA pacing simulator. Field gets one to go here, and it is going to be Bobby McGuire that will be leading the inside line on this restart. He is the first car 2 laps down, So this is the scenario that I was talking about. In order for Maguire to get back on the lead lap, he's going to have to hope and pray that he gets by Joshua Cornish in order to get back one of his laps back. And then he'd have to hope and pray that he gets into a good position for another caution to come out. So that way he can restart right where he's at right now to get back on the lead lap. But let's see if he's able to do it. Cornish brings him down for the restart here in North Wilkesboro. Ooh, Cornish getting forced up high here as they come off of 2, heading down the back straightaway once again. You got Caleb Rose right there on the back bumper, but he's also going to get put up on the high side by Russell Blaze, who's in the middle of a 3-wide situation, heading back into the 3rd corner. Maguire got one of his laps back, as did Martin Nixon and others, and around goes Blaze. Wyatt Walker collected in that one as well. That was so unfortunate. Russell Blaze winds up spinning, collecting Wyatt Walker as well. Caution out yet again. And we have a stack up on the back straightaway, collecting Reagan Whitlock. I see Eric Monaco as well being involved in this one. Sebastian Vaughn with a little bit more damage than what he had earlier. What in the world are we doing, guys? What are we doing? Cornish winds up making his way down into the pits. This is going to give the lead over to the 88 of Braden Perez. My, oh my. And we're just past the halfway mark here in this race. This is just... I don't know how much more I can really take. We have 97 laps to go coming up here. I honestly don't know how much more of this we can really take, but Braden Perez, the race leader. Let's go back and review what happened there to Russell Blaze, because he was just in the middle of a 3-wide scenario, and I'm pretty sure it was because Joshua Cornish, yes, let's watch this here. I'm pretty sure it had to do with Joshua Cornish getting way too high into the corner, and he had to check up so that way he could avoid getting hitting the outside wall. But Blaze already back on the gas. Cornish into the wall, comes down into the path of Russell Blaze and Wyatt Walker just with nowhere to go. Winds up getting collected in that whole scenario. So that was a tough break for both Russell Blaze and Wyatt Walker. More so for Blaze because he was running in 2nd place at the time. And as for Wyatt Walker, he was running 23rd, just a multitude of laps down. Here it is in real time. Just right there. Walker just absolutely had nowhere to go. He had no idea that was going to happen as well. And Blaze almost added his name to the list of drivers that would have hit the end of that pit wall. But thankfully, that didn't quite happen. But regardless of how you look at it, I would definitely guarantee Russell Blaze is not happy about this whole scenario whatsoever. And he's definitely going to, more than likely, I wouldn't say he's out of it, but he's definitely down for the moment here in the Safelite 400 here, the North Wilkesboro Speedway, as we're going to rejoin the field. And currently, he is on the tail end of the lead lap in the 17th position. With your top 10 now looking like this. Braden Perez, the race leader. Then running in 2nd is Sebastian Vaughn. Ryan Little moving up into 3rd. Terry Walker 4th. Martin Nixon rounding out the top 5. Then it's the Joshua Cornish running in 6th, Jerry Rose 7th, Caleb Rose in 8th, Noah Clifton 9th, Zachary Fitzwater rounding out your top 10. But 17 cars still left on the lead lap in this one. It's the field. Hold on 1 second. Hold on. I was like, wait, did OBS just crash? Did everything just crash? I don't think so. Because my little stream thing just buffered for a little bit and I thought, oh shoot, the internet's crashing again. But if that's not the case, we should be good. Kind of got scared there for a second because the internet ended up taking a dookie on Wednesday. It did it twice, and then it happened again last night. So fingers crossed the internet does not crap itself again here tonight. So the field's going to work their way through turn 4 this time. They'll take 1 to go. Bobby McGuire did get one of his laps back, but he's going to line up on the inside once again. He's going to have to hope and pray for another caution to come out, so that way he can rejoin the inside line at the tail end, so that way he can work his way up to the front end of this line. If another yellow were to come out, then he'd have a chance to get back on the lead lap. But it's going to be Russell Blaze. He is not the official race leader, but he will lead this field back to the green flag. Your official race leader being Braden Perez, starting right behind the 69 of Russell Blaze. Green flag. Going to go back out in the air. Russell Blaze going to get not as good of a jump on that restart as Bobby McGuire did, but McGuire's going to wound up taking off. Braden Perez wasting no time, ducking to the inside and crashing yet again. It is Stephen Colon around, collecting Joshua Cornish and Sebastian Vaughn. We had more trouble in the back. That's Caleb Rose, who wound up spinning, and just like that, we're back under caution. How much more of this can we take? God's honest truth, how much more of this can we take? Perez ends up bringing his car down into the pits. And after all that, I believe this is going to hand the lead over to Jerry Rose in the 00, followed by Kyle Craven, Reagan Whitlock being second and third. And Valkyrie Atikian is going to win the race off of pit road. Zachary Taylor is going to come out in second. Then it's Eric Monaco coming out in third. Terry Walker comes out fourth, followed by Ryan Little fifth. And sixth would be Zachary Fitzwater. Braden Perez comes out seventh. Caleb Rose comes out eighth. Martin Nixon comes out ninth. And Noah Clifton completes your top 10 of drivers that came out of the pits. But it is now Jerry Rose who reassumes the top position here. Let's go back and review what happened to Stephen Colon. I'm not sure why we were 4 wide there. Honestly, 4 wide at this juncture of the race was just absolutely unnecessary. And it includes a similar selection of other drivers that were in this whole scenario. One of which being the 19 of Wyatt Walker. You see Stephen Colon there. He's going to wind up being in the middle. but he leaves that door open for just long enough for Wyatt Walker to be there on the inside. You also have the 27 of Ryan Little in the middle. But Cologne does slide up into the 27 of Ryan Little. And then gets spun up in front of the field. Caleb Rose ends up getting turned in the background by Zachary Fitzwater. Here's where Cornish winds up getting collected. Jerry Rose also has some damage as well. But my goodness. 4 race cars that wound up getting involved in 2 separate incidents under the same caution flag. This is just absolutely... It's becoming less and less of pandemonium, but it's starting to turn more and more into how much longer can all these drivers really take here. Because, again, 4 wide was just completely unnecessary. That's also a tough break for Stephen Cologne. A bad night gone worse. Joshua Cornish, who was also running up at the front of the field for a decent for a decent portion of the race, he gets caught up. Sebastian Vaughn, who was having himself a pretty good night. Unfortunately, he has a little bit more damage than what he had previously, and I'm not sure how much that's going to hurt him, but it's going to be very interesting as to how the rest of his race is going to turn out here at North Wilkesboro. Field continuing to work under caution here. And we have another retiree, that being the 89 of Joshua Cornish. So now 25 cars are left on the racetrack, this time with 16 or 15 actually that are going to be left on the lead lap. Eric Monaco in the 31 pits from the 6th position. So something may or may not have gone awry on the 31 of Eric Monaco. More than likely might be some form of a tire failure, either that or maybe something mechanical. But they are going to try to get that reassessed and get set back out there. Campbell Marsh making his way into the pits. Probably for something similar. And they're going to spend an extra amount of time working on that car here as we're working our umpteenth caution of the night here at the North Wilkesboro Speedway. Jerry Rose leads the charge with Kyle Craven in 2nd, Reagan Whitlock in 3rd, Valkyrie Atikin in 4th, followed by Zachary Taylor rounding out the top 5. Terry Walker in 6th, then it's the 27 of Ryan Little in 7th. Zachary Fitzwater 8th, Caleb Rose 9th, or not Caleb Rose 9th, but Braden Perez 9th, and then Caleb Rose completes the top 10. Hope and pray that we can actually get ourselves a good green flag run in, because we've had a lot of caution laps in this one. So please, let's just hope and pray that we can get ourselves a good green flag run in. Field works their way through turns 3 and 4 this time around. Jerry Rose going to lead them down to the restart right about now on lap 113. Good jump for the top 3, but it's the front 2 that wound up checking out. 3 wide over here. Everybody trying to get around Janiah Hill on the 7. As Kyle Craven's going to make the run to the inside to take over the top position. We made it a green flag lap. Thank goodness for that. But now the next task is to try to get by Janiah Hill, who is not up to par with the rest of the leaders. And around goes Valkyrie Atikian. They save it. And we say green. Thank the Lord above that they were able to keep it together. And everybody is able to get around Janiah Hill as best as they possibly can. The race leader now is Kyle Craven in the 28. Oh, Jerry Rose just ends up colliding with the outside wall in turn number 4. He might have used up all of his tires. Oh, and around goes Wyatt Walker off the bumper of Skylar Taylor. Hits the inside wall. And again we stay green. My, oh my. Marsh comes back out on the racetrack, but now there is almost a 1.5 seconds difference between Craven and now Reagan Whitlock, as there's at least 5 cars that are a lap down or more between Craven and Whitlock. As now Marsh is going to make his way down into the pit area. Whitlock making a run to the inside of the 95 of Bruno DiGiacomo to try to at least get a little bit closer, but now that lead has opened up to 2 seconds. Terry Walker bounces off the wall. Nixon moves up to 3rd after that. But the caution comes out yet again. And this time it's for Sebastian Vaughn in the 54. And this time his night is over. His night is 100% over. At least we got some green flag laps in, but that was pretty short-lived. Noah Clifton gonna make his way down into the pit area. But all the lead lap cars, they are gonna, well, at least some of the lead lap cars, they're gonna wound up making their stops. But your new race leader as of right now, that would be Martin Nixon in the number 2 machine. Reagan Whitlock is going to make her way back out on the racetrack, followed by Kyle Craven and Ryan Little. And others will eventually follow. There's points leader Zachary Fitzwater making his way back out on the track. But Martin Nixon assumes the race lead here at the North Wilkesboro Speedway. Let's take a look at what happened to Sebastian Vaughn. That brought out our most recent caution. Actually, it didn't really have much to do there with Sebastian Vaughn. It had to do with Braden Perez and the 99 of Noah Clifton. This is all heading down into turns 1 and 2. Looks like Clifton might have sent it into the corner a little bit too hard and forces the 88 up into the outside wall right about here. And Clifton just unfortunately gets right reared by the 99, by the 88 of Perez. They continue to ride the wall, and there's where Sebastian Vaughn is going to get knocked out of the race. Fitzy ended up getting collected in that one as well. But Noah Clifton, Sebastian Vaughn, Braden Perez, all 3 of those drivers were the cause of this yellow flag. And the one that obviously is going to get hurt the worst in this one is the 54 of Sebastian Vaughn. Let's go back and take a look at that again, this time in real speed. That just was very unfortunate. Noah Clifton, who started off this race really good, and then unfortunately his night went from good to bad, then from bad to worse. Sebastian Vaughn's night went pretty similarly, but now his night is over on lap 120 here at the North Wilkesboro Speedway. So now as we're going to work our way back onto live coverage, your race leader is going to be the number 2 of Martin Nixon. As he stayed out, Zachary Taylor is going to wound up in the 2nd position. Caleb Rose will be 3rd. Braden Perez is going to move up to 4th, followed by Reagan Whitlock completing the top 5. Then it's the 28 of Kyle Craven. Going to restart in 6th. Ryan Little will restart 7th. Terry Walker 8th. Zachary Fitzwater 9th. And Noah Clifton actually somehow still surviving in this one, completing your top 10. Sebastian Vaughn is going to join everybody else in the garage area. So now we have 24 cars left on the track, still 15 on the lead lap. But Clifton going to make his way into the pits. You know, it may not be all that. Noah Clifton's night may not have turned out all that great, but I'd say the blessing in disguise is that there's a numerous amount of other drivers that are out of this race. So I'd say Noah Clifton is still in a pretty good spot to still rack up some pretty good points, because remember, he did lead the opening stages of the race, and he did. I mean, he was doing relatively good, but unfortunately, he's kind of fallen off a little bit. And another driver that was also involved in that one was Sebastian Vaughn. We saw the wreck that happened with him just a little bit ago, and unfortunately, he is out of this race. Him going out on lap 120 is going to credit him with a 25th place finish here. He'll cycle back to that point once this race goes on. But Martin Nixon, even though he is the official race leader, he's going to be restarting 4th in line. Val Moscow is up at the front of the field. He is 13th on the tail end of the lead lap. So we have 3 cars that are on the tail end of the lead lap. Moscow, Anderson, Emily Anderson, and Skylar Taylor. They're all trying to rejoin the field at the tail end of the field. They got to hope and pray for another caution to come out. Let's see if it will. Stephen Colon way off the pace in the 25. That is going to be very troublesome for all these drivers to get around him, and it's proving to be just that. Around goes Wyatt Walker. Janiah Hill gets caught up. Everybody just piling into turn number 3. My oh my. I don't even know anymore. Martin Nixon led everybody back to the caution flag. He's going to bring his car down into the pits. Your new race leader is going to be Reagan Whitlock in the 9. What in the world? What in the world did I just witness? Wyatt Walker with a lot more damage than what he had earlier in the going. Janiah Hill was also caught up in this one. Braden Perez, Caleb Rose. Zachary Taylor was also collected in that one. You keep in mind, guys, all I did was move my leg. That's why you probably may have heard my mic cut out there. But there might be... Actually, surprisingly enough, no retirees. At least not yet. But your new race leader is going to be the 9 of Reagan Whitlock. Here on lap 127, and ladies and gentlemen, this race, I don't even know. I honestly don't even know what to say. I genuinely have zero clue on what to say here, because this race by far is just gone absolutely downhill, and I don't know, man. I genuinely do not know. But let's review what happened. That brought out our umpteenth caution of the night, and a lot of it had to do with trying to get by Stephen Colon, who was off the pace with the rest of the leaders on this restart. But Zachary Taylor also, on top of that, lifted so that way he can make the corner off of turn number 2. He does slap the wall, and then gets hit in the left rear by Stephen Colon, who then gets into Wyatt Walker, and then it's on. Braden Perez gets caught up in this one. Same for Janiah Hill. Both Appalachia Motorsports cars involved in this one. And look at that. The 85 and the 59 just get sent up into the air. Ryan Little as well as Zachary Fitzwater were all caught up in that too. And man, oh man. I genuinely do not have a whole lot of words to really describe what just wound up happening here. Let's now follow along from the perspective of Zachary Taylor here. Everybody's just trying to go for all that they can get here, and everybody's just going for a little bit too much. That's just, I don't even know where else to really go with that, but that's what wound up bringing out our umpteenth caution of the night here at the North Wilkesboro Speedway. And as we're going to rejoin the field with Reagan Whitlock being the current race leader of the night. So far, again, I don't believe we have any other retirees. I do stand corrected now as Bernard Giacomo is going to take his car behind the wall. And will join Sebastian Vaughn, Joshua Cornish, Travis Crampton, Alexander Rowe, Quentin Moore, Andrew Miller, Abby Walker, Aaron Abel, Tanner Parton, Nathan Stapleton, Rogel Dorn, Wayne Lopez, Claire Phillips, Nia Steidel, Roberto Crown Jr., the 67 of Andrew Ramsey, Ryan Gondillo, and CG Halt, all in the garage area with 20. Well, now another retiree. That's Ryan Little, who's also going back behind the wall. So now this will leave 21 cars left on the track, 13 of them left on the lead lap. I don't think anybody's going to be left in this race. This is genuinely one of the wildest, most chaotic, most just absolute drama-filled races I think I've ever seen in WRLA history. I genuinely am just at awe of what I'm seeing here. Closing in this time around on 1 to go, and we're going to get this race restarted. And the big news here for Val Mosco and Emily Anderson, for instance, they are back on the lead lap along with Russell Blaze. He's back on the lead lap as we're getting ready to restart. But there are just the amount of drivers that are still out on the racetrack. That number is just absolutely dwindling. And Noah Clifton in the 99 has got a problem. He's going to take his car back down to pit road and try to get that damage and try to get the other issues that he may be having reassessed. Valkyrie Atikian is going to wound up joining him. But Reagan Whitlock is going to lead the field back to the green flag. There it is. Green flag goes in the air. And Reagan Whitlock is going to bring them down. And that is just a sight to see with how many cars are still left on the track. And this is going to get a little bit antsy. One car, I think, just went to pit road. That's Bonsignor. Campbell Marsh and others are following. And look at this mess over here. 3 wide. That's Zachary Fitzwater on the bottom. Martin Nixon up against the wall. And there they go. Caleb Rose around along with Stephen Colon. All of these drivers were just trying to make room in order for everybody else coming out on the from the pits to get back up on the racetrack. And after all of that, Terry Walker is going to assume the lead. But what? I thought we were going to get some good green flag racing in. But it's because of everybody else that's making their pit stops and coming back out into the racing line is what absolutely messed that up. Russell Blaze is done. That car is smoking. It is just trashed up at this point, motor-wise, and that means it'll be full-on game over for Durrani Racing. All 3 cars will be out of it. Zachary Fitzwater has taken his car back behind the wall. That will mean after tonight, he will no longer be the points leader. It will be the 48 of Terry Walker, who is still running out on the racetrack. He picked up the 5 bonus points for leading a lap just a little bit ago. I genuinely, before we go back green, we gotta review this. We have to review this because this, I genuinely am just still, I don't even know. I don't even know why everybody was up so high on the racetrack. I don't know why everybody's just way up against the wall in order for all these other drivers that are coming back out from the pits. Why they're trying to give all these other drivers so much room in order to get back on the racetrack. Caleb Rose ends up squeezing the 25 of Stephen Colon up into the outside wall. Emily Anderson goes around. And Russell Blaze right here. I'm pretty sure he might have clipped the pit wall. Either that, because Zachary Fitzwater also wound up spinning. That's where he got his damage right there. That is what's going to take out Russell Blaze here in this race. Along with Zachary Fitzwater. And as well as Zachary Taylor. Let's look at Zachary Fitzwater's spin, because that right there was also caused by Martin Nixon going way up against the wall. And then Jerry Rose just getting sandwiched. Here's where Taylor's going to get knocked out. This is where Blaze gets knocked out. And my goodness, Emily Anderson just barely getting a little bit more damage off of the 98 of Zachary Fitzwater. But luckily for her, she is still on the lead lap. And still inside of the top 10, thankfully. But my, oh my, I don't even know where to even begin on how to break down this race, because we have had yellow flag after yellow flag after yellow flag after yellow flag after yellow flag, and somehow these drivers are still not able to restart this race. Hold on, give me 1 second. I accidentally forgot to hit the continue button. I don't even know where to begin. We are going to have more retirees here in this race. Russell Blaze is going to go out due to a valve issue. Zachary Fitzwater is going to be out of it. Same for Zachary Taylor. So 3 more retirees here in this event, which is going to leave 8 cars left on the lead lap and 18 cars left on the racetrack overall. I don't even know where to begin. I don't even know where to begin. But this race, I will say, I mean, we're not even close to the finish of this one. We have less than 75 laps to go. But this race has been an absolute dumpster fire, to say the least. It was going really good up until the second caution came out, and then it just all hell broke loose from then on, and everybody might have forgotten how to restart a race, because since then this race has just been a dumpster fire. But the field comes off of turn number 4. 1 to go is given this time by 4 cars on pit road. There would be Monaco, Clifton, Marsh, and also Jerry Rose. They are on pit road as we speak right now, but your top 10 is going to look like this with 8 cars left on the lead lap. It's Terry Walker, the leader. Kyle Craven in second. Running in third is the 9 of Reagan Whitlock. Martin Nixon fourth. Caleb Rose completed the top 5. Then it's Val Moscow in 6th. Emily Anderson in 7th. Brandon Perez 8th. Bobby McGuire 9th. And Noah Clifton somehow rounding out the top 10. Oh, my goodness gracious. Here we go for the restart. Terry Walker's going to bring him on down. And he gets a really good jump here as they head back into turn 1. Janiah Hill, once again, very slow there on the restart. And oh, Caleb Rose bouncing, just pinballing between the wall and off of other cars. But thankfully, he is able to keep it straight, and we are going to be able to stay green. Everybody else now just trying to work to get around Janiah Hill, and so far, everybody else has gotten by her. Now it's Caleb Rose's turn, along with Stephen Cologne. Alex Bonsignor are going to make his way back into the pits, but Terry Walker continuing to lead the charge here in the Safelite 400 here at the North Wilkesboro Speedway, and I might have to petition to change the name to Demolition Light 400, because that's exactly what this has essentially become. It's kind of just become a demolition derby at this point. Kyle Craven bouncing off the wall there, coming off of turn number 2. And right in front of the racing line is Eric Monaco. Emily Anderson gonna split the 31 3 wide. And into the wall goes Eric Monaco, Bobby McGuire, and Val Moscow. 2 of those cars being teammates. Both Moscow and Crown, or not Crown, but Monaco and Moscow, both teammates getting into the outside wall, collecting Bobby McGuire on top of that as well. Thankfully, no car went 90 degrees into the opposite direction, so we stay green momentarily. And after all of that, Terry Walker continuing to pull away by 2/3 of a second over Martin Nixon. And how about this? Emily Anderson, who has started towards the mid-pack of this race, of this to start off the race, started the race towards the back end of the field, right around mid-pack. Fell multiple laps down, and she had scratched and clawed her way back on the lead lap, and she's running in the 3rd spot. Atta girl for Emily Anderson right here. And she currently has a shot to win this race. That's all depending on if this race goes caution-free the rest of the way, but I feel like we're not done with cautions just yet. Trouble back straightaway. That was, looks like that's Janiah Hill. That wound up hitting the outside wall very hard, and she is speeding on pit road. She still thinks she's in the racing... Wait, she's not in the racing line. What in the world? She got turned, but yet was still running normal speed on track in the pit area. Could have taken out Campbell Marsh. Fortunately, she didn't, but I would not be surprised if she ended up getting black flagged for that. And that indeed is the case. Janiah Hill is going to bring her car down on the pit road to serve her penalty. And Perez and Cologne bouncing off of one another as Jerry Rose is going to make his way down into the pits. And Emily Anderson moves up into the 2nd spot around Martin Nixon as Bonsignor makes his way down pit road. mile. I don't even know where to even begin. I don't even know where to begin. Field, though, nonetheless, I mean, at least everybody is still running on track. I mean, clean and green momentarily. We finally have some time to breathe and at least get some good green flag racing in, but we don't have a whole lot of the field left in order to do this with. And we still have a multiple amount of cars that are still making their way down pit road after running at least a lap or two after coming out of the pits. Jerry Rose being one, Bonsignor is another, and they're just falling multiple upon multiple laps down. Why they're doing this, I have absolutely no idea. But we're closing in 45 laps to go here in the Safelite 400 here at the North Wilkesboro Speedway. And just in case, if y'all are just now tuning in, yes, you do see this correctly. There are not a whole lot of cars left on the racetrack. There are currently 17 cars left on track, and 8 of them are left on the lead lap. We have had a multitude of cautions that have plagued this race. And may I say, this race has just become an absolute dumpster fire, and I'd say this is the only saving grace of the event to try to bring it back around full circle, because this race started off really good, and then all of a sudden, one caution flag was all it took for all hell to break loose, and the rest of the other cars took their machines back behind the wall, and we're now left with 17 cars, and 8 of them left on the lead lap, and other drivers that are just multiple laps down. From 1 lap down being Bobby McGuire to 15 laps down for Alex Bonsignor. Now probably going to go 16 laps down. Perez gonna let the 4 of Emily Anderson go here, as Anderson trying to search for her 3rd Pepsi Cup Series win. She won at Texas Motor Speedway in 2017 for her first win in the Pepsi Cup Series. She won at Richmond in 2020. That was untelevised, but now trying to go for her 3rd win in the Pepsi Cup Series, this time obviously with a different look on her car. I mean, well, when I say different look, obviously different number and different manufacturers, because both races she won in a number 66, and it was with Chevrolet. Both times it was with a Mountain Dew sponsored race machine. But she's trying to go for her 3rd win of her Pepsi Cup Series career. If she can do that, she would tie Emmanuel Hartnett for the most wins in the WRLA Pepsi Cup Series history. And she's going to pound the outside wall, all because of the 23 of Valkyrie Atikian impeding on the race, basically kind of impeding her racing line. And that has to be very frustrating for Emily Anderson. Bonsignor going to make yet another trip down pit road. 36 laps to go here at the North Wilkesboro Speedway. Terry Walker still leading the charge. Last week he started, I think, just inside of the top 10. Got caught up in a crash early in the going, right around lap 8. Since then, he scratched and clawed his way back inside of the top 5. Went on to finish 2nd as Abby Walker took the checkered flag. But Terry Walker still searching for his first Pepsi Cup Series win and trying to deliver Walker Family Motorsports' 3rd win overall in WRLA competition, and the 2nd straight one for the team as an entirety. Emily Anderson trying to search for her first win of the season. EGI has already gone back-to-back with Nia Steidel earlier in the season, once at Martinsville and then the next time at the Nazareth Speedway. But Emily Anderson trying to deliver win number 3 for the team. Closing in this time on 31 laps to go. Next time around, I should say. But this race itself has just been absolutely unbelievable. But now Emily Anderson catching up to the back end of Terry Walker's car. And the race might be on here for the top position and more potentially for the race win. But you also got Martin Nixon and Reagan Whitlock starting to close in. Kyle Craven as well. So it may turn into a 5-horse fight for the lead and potentially for the win, depending on what winds up happening here within these next 30 laps. But Terry Walker now has a mirror full of Emily Anderson as they come off of turn number 4. Janiah Hill just up ahead. And Walker, Anderson, both drivers are going to work their way to the inside of Janiah Hill to make quick work of her and put her yet another lap down and make her Martin Nixon's problem when it comes to trying to maneuver his way around the 7 machine. Hill going to stay high for Martin Nixon. And try to be no factor to Nixon's party. 25 laps to go. Emily Anderson just staring at the back bumper of Terry Walker's machine. Heading back into turn number 1. Where is the move gonna come for Emily Anderson? She's all over the back bumper of this number 48, heading back through turns 3 and 4. Here she comes to the inside. And the race is on for the top position as they head back into turn number 1. Anderson washes up the track. And into the wall, maybe just a little bit there, goes Terry Walker. And new race leader, it's Emily Anderson in the number 4. Anderson trying to get her first win of the season. Terry Walker trying to get his first win of his career. Martin Nixon trying to go for win number 2 on the year and try to steal one away from the full-timers. But Emily Anderson now in command of this race, trying to turn her season around. She came into this season, she came into this race 21st, I want to say, in the point standings, or just outside of the top 20. So she has not had herself the best of seasons, but definitely not the worst either. But Anderson looking to try to turn all of that around here tonight by securing a win here at North Wilkesboro. All these points that she's going to garner are going to mean absolutely everything. Could catapult her inside of the top 10 in the point standings after tonight with 20 to go. Emily Anderson starting to check out a little bit on Terry Walker. Martin Nixon starting to close in, maybe just by a little bit. A half a second difference between Walker and Nixon. Now that's turned into 0.4 of a second. Ooh, Emily Anderson ended up hitting the wall. Here comes Terry Walker back down on the inside. And this also pulls Martin Nixon right into the party. Make this a 3-horse fight for the race lead. Terry Walker's going to move up back to the point. Emily Anderson going to fall right back into second and right into the clutches of Martin Nixon here in this number 2. And Kyle Craven is starting to close in the 4th spot. But Terry Walker reassumes the race lead after... Oh, wait! Terry Walker's coming to pit road! Oh my goodness, are pit stops going to be the deciding factor in who wins this race? Oh my goodness. What a peculiar time for pit stops to take place. Nixon makes his way down into the pits. We had a spin in turn number 3. It might have been Jerry Rose who spun into the entrance of pit road. Not a problem. We stay green. Anderson continues to lead. She's going to stay out for another lap as Bonsinger is going to make the trip to pit road. Moscow moves up into second. Now with 5 cars left on the lead lap, make that 2 between Moscow and Anderson, but that's not going to last long because eventually Emily Anderson is going to have to come on down pit road unless if she's played the cards right into her favor. She currently has about a 3-second gap between herself and Val Moscow. With 12 to go, everybody, with the exception of Reagan Whitlock, is 2 laps down or more. This race got easily flipped over onto its head more times than you can flip a coin. So now as Reagan Whitlock is going to get passed here by Emily Anderson, everybody now, with the exception of herself and Moscow, are 2 laps down. Closing in on 10 laps remaining here in the Safelite 400. This has 100% been the weirdest WRLA Pepsi Cup race I've ever called. The question is still, when does Emily Anderson, when is she going to make a stop? Is she going to make her pit stop? Does she have enough to go to distance? Does she have enough tire to hold this race lead from Val Moscow? Or will this be Val Moscow's race to win? Because eventually at this rate, it's just come down to these 2. Everybody else is a lap down or more, so it doesn't really matter. So it is now a 1 versus 1 for the win here at North Wilkesboro. I have never seen anything like this ever in WRLA competition, let alone NR 2003. This is just absolute mind-boggling. Just imagine somebody trying to figure out a math equation and all the equations are on the screen, just scrolling across the screen. Just that's what I'm trying to figure out. How I'm trying to figure out how and why this race turned out the way that it did, because this is just absolutely unbelievable. Now Val Moscow has made his way into the pits, so he's gone a lap down. And here comes Emily Anderson. Anderson's going to make her way down into the pits with 5 to go. And at this point, I don't even know anymore. I genuinely don't know. It's a splash and go for Emily Anderson. Here comes Reagan Whitlock to get her lap back. Val Moscow eventually is going to come back around to get his lap back, but now I think it's just going to be Emily Anderson that might have this in the bag. Reagan Whitlock is already making her way off of turn number 4. So now the gap is 16 seconds between herself and Reagan Whitlock. Perez is now back on the lead lap, so now it's 3 cars that are going to finish on the lead lap. The gap is now 7 seconds between Emily Anderson and Reagan Whitlock with 2 laps to go. My goodness gracious. I just cannot wait for Charlotte at this point. At this rate, we might as well just rack them all together for Charlotte. Field comes off at turn number 4. White flag goes in the air. 1 more lap to go for Emily Anderson. In what has been a very weird and very chaotic race at North Wilkesboro, Emily Anderson rounds herself through turns 3 and 4. History will be made, and Emily Anderson is going to join Emmanuel Hartnett as a 3-time winner in the WRLA Pepsi Cup Series, and she'll take the checkered flag here in North Wilkesboro. Reagan Whitlock comes home second. Kyle Craven will finish third. And that's it. Those are the only 3 cars that finished on the lead lap. Then it's Val Moscow finishing in 4th. Caleb Rose rounding out the top 5. Followed by Braden Perez 6th. Then in 7th. Was Skylar Taylor. Terry Walker finishing in 8th. Bobby McGuire 9th. And Martin Nixon rounding out the top 10. I'm just at a disbelief of what I've just witnessed here at the North Wilkesboro Speedway, because this race just turned out to be what turned out. Bear in mind, ladies and gentlemen, all I did was move my leg. But what was a really good race at the very beginning, unfortunately, just went further and further and further downhill, and then it just got really weird at the end. Definitely gonna go down into the history books as probably the weirdest Pepsi Cup Series race ever called here. And it all happened here at the North Wilkesboro Speedway. This racetrack can produce some really good racing, but unfortunately, everybody just drives way in over their heads, and this is the result. Only 3 cars that finished on the lead lap, with 16 drivers finishing the race. And the rest of the field, well, they all smelled what the rock was cooking. And I really don't know where else you can really go with that one. A lot of these drivers are definitely going to try to erase this race from their minds and try to get ready for Charlotte, because this race by far was just absolutely chaotic, to say the least. But, ladies and gentlemen, that was Pepsi Cup Series racing from the Rockingham Speedway. That I don't even know where to begin with that one. That was just very chaotic. Very chaotic. It just went further and further and further downhill. And then with a weird finish, Emily Anderson comes home with the checkered flag, and she ties Emmanuel Hartnett as with the most wins in WRLA history, that being 3. Remember, Hartnett won at Fontana and Watkins Glen in 2017, then won again in 2023 at the Rockingham Speedway. And now here at North Wilkesboro, Emily Anderson comes home with her 3rd Pepsi Cup Series win and tying Emmanuel Hartnett. I don't know where else to really go with this one. At this rate, I don't even care what to call this racetrack, whether it be Rockingham, North Wilkesboro, none of that, because my brain is just absolutely fried. So you can't blame me there. But ladies and gentlemen, I mean, if you stuck around, I do appreciate you guys for sticking around and watching this race, whether if you're watching live on Twitch or if you're watching this on YouTube. If you guys like this, be sure to give it a like. And if you haven't considered subscribing yet, I recommend you do so to keep up with some fine content. Keep an eye on the Discord for the points to come out once this premiere concludes. And next week on Friday night, we'll be under the lights at the Charlotte Motor Speedway for the running of the Coca-Cola 600. That race will be fun to watch. That is going to be, for a fact, definitely nothing what we just saw here. But ladies and gentlemen, that's going to conclude our night here at the North Wilkesboro Speedway. Congratulations nonetheless to Emily Anderson on nabbing her first win of the season and her third Pepsi Cup Series win of her career. Have a great night, everybody. Have a great rest of your weekend. Take care, and we will see you all at the Charlotte Motor Speedway here on Friday night, May 23rd, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time for the race. As far as qualifying, we'll see you guys at 11 a.m. on that day. On May 23rd, that is. But have a good one, y'all. Take care, and we'll see you at Charlotte next week.